Welcome to the Time Management Podcast with me, your host, Abigail Barnes. I'm a productivity coach, global speaker, time management author, and award-winning entrepreneur on a mission to share the 888 formula with the world and to remind you that it's your time. Leave it to me to bring you new time management tips, tricks, tools, and strategies, to introduce you to guests, research, and case studies from around the world, and to give you a simple 5-step process you can follow to uplevel your productivity, achieve your goals, and create a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Welcome to the podcast. This week, we're bringing you something new. This episode was recorded live at the PA show. And in this episode, I got to ask Marianne Whitlock and Sarah Howson how they make time, find time, have time to run 2 businesses, Strategic PA Network and Strategic PA Recruitment, manage between them 6 children, make time for exercise, are nice humans, and have time to run and attend their own networking events. I cannot wait to hear what you take away from this episode. Also, this week on LinkedIn, I asked you what you would do with an extra hour a day, whether you would sleep, whether you would spend it with loved ones, whether you would spend it on your side hustle, whether you would spend it exercising or something else. It's so awesome to see you all voting on that poll on LinkedIn. And it reminds me to remind you of episode 91 of the podcast, where I shared our proven strategy to help you find that missing hour of your life every single day so that you can spend it doing what you want with the people that you want to do it with. And if you're ready to take it to the next level, then join us next week for the Find Your Missing Hour 7-day online group challenge, where together we will be looking to find out what is stealing your time every single day so that you can get back 7 hours every single week. That's a day pretty much of time that every single week you could be spending doing what you want. And in episode 91, I shared 3 success stories from people who have tracked their time, and what they have been able to discover has fundamentally changed their lives. All the links for the challenge are in the show notes. And if you use the code MORETIME, you will get that 20% discount off the challenge when you sign up. Let's dive into that conversation with Sarah and Marianne. Welcome to the show. I am so excited to be joined by the amazing Sarah Howson and Marianne Whitlock. Today we are talking all things strategic PA, network, recruitment, life outside of work, life before business. We are going everywhere. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Let's dive straight in and get this party started. Who is Sarah Howson in a nutshell?
Founder of Strategic PA Network, and that was maternity leave 1. Founder of Strategic PA Recruitment, maternity leave 2. Mum of the 2 boys, so 2 IVF boys. We're a football crazy household. Tottenham Hotspur fan for my sins, I think that's fair to say. Wife of a golf pro, and I'm going to throw a fun fact in there for you. I grew up in Florida, grew up in America for 10 years. That's my background and where I came from.
I'm so excited for this conversation. I feel like there's a lot we know and a lot we don't know, and I can't wait to dive in. But before we do, who is Marianne Whitlock in a nutshell?
A question I often ask myself, Abigail. Mum of 4 boys. My eldest is just about to finish university. My youngest is in year 8. Happily married for nearly 25 years. I'm a long-distance runner, raise lots of money for charities doing that. I'm a kickboxer. Have been kickboxing for nearly 30 years, have 5 black belts. And fun fact is Sarah and I are actually related.
Which a lot of people don't know because we never offer it out there, do we?
Don't hide it. And also, obviously, founder and director of Strategic PA Network and Strategic PA Recruitment as well.
I didn't know all of these things until we started to prep for this episode. It is absolutely incredible. And just one other fun fact, Sarah and I actually went to the same university, quite likely at the same time. Only I probably was on the floor in the nightclub, and I don't know what Sarah would have been
I probably
doing.
was as well. No, those were the days.
I haven't drunk for 7 years now, so I can't remember what being on the floor in a nightclub feels like, but there we go. Just one for the road. Marianne, let's start with you. What was your like with time in the past?
I think, Abigail, I've always had a strong relationship with time. From early career where you're navigating projects to having the 4 children, because that is a logistical paradox at all times. And I think my way of coping with so many children at one time was literally, I dealt with it like a job. I had every day scheduled, morning, afternoon activities. I knew when I was doing the ironing. Everything was scheduled. And I think for me, that was my way of being able to navigate it, is that it was all time blocked almost.
And was it colour-coded?
Absolutely. We've both been assistants. Once you've done that type of position, I think it carries on. And from a recruitment perspective, when we're interviewing people and assistants, it's obvious that it's not just business, it goes into your personal life. And the way you are in business, you'll be organizer in your friendship group, you put the holidays together. I just think it flows into every area.
I'm absolutely loving this. Sarah, what was your relationship like with time back in the day?
Really interesting one, and I think like all the EAs in the audience will be nodding their head for this one. I think you're the chief organizer, aren't you? Everything's structured, organized. You have your plan set out. You know exactly what you're doing when. You're organizing everyone else in your life to probably everyone's dismay. But I was definitely that person who would get the girls on holiday. Everyone would know where they were going. They just had to turn up. And I think one big lesson I learned with time and control and being a perfectionist and being in the driving seat is having my children. I struggled to have them. They're both IVF babies. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is you can't plan everything. You think you can in your head, you think you can control it. But actually that in my 30s was a big life lesson that I learned, and certainly a journey, if for anyone who's been through any fertility treatment, a journey that I went on, and a big aha moment. And now with the 2 businesses that we're running, it's full on. I hate the word busy, but it's full on, especially with the children as well. But I kind of flipped. I've gone from being super organised to super crazy is probably a good word. Poor Savannah, who is absolutely epic, and our EA is definitely our right hand, and certainly mine. I rely on her so much, and she fills that gap for me now.
I think so, and I think what Savannah probably does also is you don't need to worry about it anymore.
No.
So she has become you from the past, but for now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I've evolved nicely.
Does anybody else feel like they want to go on holiday with either of these ladies? I feel like we'd get to the airport, there would be a ring binder and everything would already be done.
I'm terrible.
I'm definitely getting to that stage in my life where I just want somebody who has done all the things, and I just arrive and go, okay, great, thanks.
It's all taken care of.
It's all done. You mentioned that you both co-founded the Strategic PA Network and the Strategic PA Recruitment Company. What was the story behind that?
Oh gosh, so I was an executive assistant, knew that I was going off on maternity leave for a whole year. I knew I was going to have my year off. Had a lovely little boy who was 11.3. He was slightly on the large side. Had a C-section for everyone who kind of looks at me in that crazy way. But he just slept. He was like the classic perfect baby, and he came out as pretty much a 4-month-old. And I'm tall, my husband's tall. I was never going to have a small baby. I think for those who have been in a position where you are 24/7, I used to travel with the CEO, the CFO. It was a really intense EA position that I held, going from being so full on to having a little one that just slept. I struggled a bit, I'll be honest. I struggled with that transition, drove my husband mental. And that's when I ventured onto Twitter, because Twitter was a thing back then, and found this community of EAs and PAs that I never knew existed. Lucy Brazier, Your Excellency, Matthew Want, there's quite a few out there. And I just said, I'd love to keep in touch with network and keep my toe in the water being off. And was there anything in Buckinghamshire? And there wasn't. And they encouraged me and said, well, why don't you set something up? We'll come and chat, we'll come and talk. And that's where it all started all those years ago. And that first event had 60 executive assistants turn up at Stoke Park. Blew my mind. I was the most nervous person ever, reading notes off like word for word. but it's evolved from there.
It has, and today we have this thriving community of the most amazing business support professionals. And then if we bring the recruitment company in, 6 years ago, after I had child number 2, I used to travel all around the world. My background was assistant and then luxury sales and marketing. I used to just travel around the world. Every time I was away, one of it was ill, hospital, I'd be on the other side of the world, my husband would call me, and deep parental guilt. When I had number 3, I'm like, I just need to focus. And by the way, I was never the one having the children. I didn't even have a life plan to get married. And in my NCT group, I was the one who went back to work after 7 months after number 1, but I was the one who ended up having 4 children. Obviously, I like the chaos, is all I can say, Abigail. So I, at the time, was teaching kickboxing. It became a lifestyle business and got to the stage where my youngest started school. And I think we've all had that pivot with our time. You suddenly have a bit more time back and you're like, what can I do? So rather than just take time out and breathe, I thought, I'll go into the next thing. I knew Sarah had recruited for previous roles. And I put my CV back together and I said to Sarah, do you know what? I want to get back into something again. And she said, well, actually, I've got this idea, because the network had been going very much lifestyle, maybe an event every 3 to 4 months. But within the network, Sarah was always asked to advertise a recruitment role. It just felt like the next natural step. And Sarah's like, should we do this together? And we're like, go on then.
Naivety, maybe.
Well, and it just turns out you have to have the same work ethic and the same kind of ethos. And we didn't know naively if it was going to work. But it turns out that we complement each other with our skills incredibly well. And what we thought we would both be doing, by the way, is the opposite.
So different.
Our roles within the organisation. I'm the ops and Sarah's very creative marketing, which is completely different to our backgrounds.
So it started at the kitchen table.
Pretty much.
Over a what do I do next? And you trusted your intuition, followed your gut, and here you are today. Talk to us about who you work with in your business and how do you actually do things differently?
I think certainly with the recruitment, if we start there, it's working with clients that understand the role, value the role, respect the role. For me, that's really important. And having been in an EA position and really understanding it, having those conversations with CEOs, leaders, and I love it now, I'll be really honest, because I think there's a real education piece about this profession and about this role to really get under the skin of what they're looking for, because a lot of the times they don't really know, especially if they've worked with a great EA before. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background and it just gets done. And actually, there's different strengths that complement, different CEOs, different leaders. It's working with integrity, which is really important. I think, being able to look PAs, EAs in the eye. We see them at our events week in, week out is really important.
Completely. And I think also we don't work with every client. We'll only work with clients because of our background who absolutely know the value that an assistant's going to bring to them. And with our background, candidates are 100% at the heart of everything we do. We're much more interested in what the candidate thinks about the client than what the client thinks about the candidate. And I think that's so important. Then from a network perspective, we love all networks. There is absolutely room for everybody. But it's finding your tribe. And for us, we're very professional and we're very learning and development focused. Everything is interwoven with that kind of foundation of learning and development. Because we appreciate from our background that assistants aren't often seen as a function. You're not HR, you're not marketing. So you can be missed off the learning and development budget. So what we love to do is fill that. Hard skills, soft skills. Every session we do has a brilliant panel, which maybe some of you have seen on the PA show over the last few days, or it has a keynote speaker.
Focusing on soft skills for a second, what are you seeing to be the most required soft skill at the minute? And what are people underestimating that they have and seeing it as just, well, I'm just good at that?
Me and the first CEO I worked for, who I will never forget because he was amazing and certainly someone who really pushed me and guided me. He always said, as an EA, there's a real fine line, and crossing that line in terms of, I think, emotional intelligence is really important. So you need to read the room. You need to get a feel for the temperature of what's going on. You need to know when to step up, when to not, when to speak or be involved in a project or something or not. Filtering and understanding what you need to filter when, really key as well. EQ for me is really key, and I think as EAs, PAs or business support professionals, putting yourself in those situations where you can fine-tune that. And I think a lot of it is intuitive as well. It's a skill or a strength that a lot of EAs have. So I would say EQ.
And interestingly, with a recruitment hat on, I would say it's confidence. We literally look at hundreds of CVs, and I think EAs are humble. You are service-led mindset. You don't want to be putting your skills and shouting about yourself. So often when we look at a CV, it's like drawing blood out of a stone from a point of view that you don't want to shout about how epic you all are. And, this role is, we always say, one of the most integral in the whole organisation. You are so powerful and influential. And that headline, which is on the end of page 2, should be at the top of your CV in your personal profile. For me, it's just knowing your value and how important you are to your organisation.
I think the biggest thing for me, whenever I have conversations with people such as yourself and EAs, PAs, executive support, is that they don't realise you're already in the room, that many, many other people in the organisation are desperate to be in. And you're just there. And when you flick that switch and you go, okay, so why are they so desperate to be here? What is it that I can get from this room that they want? What am I missing? And it was Tony Robbins who was saying the quality of your questions dictate the quality of your life. And when you start to ask better questions, you will start to get better results. And you flick that switch and you become the observer of the room, and you start to see, what am I missing? Now, if I knew what I could see, what could I see? If I knew what it was that they wanted to learn or to hear, what would that be? And when you ask questions like that, you'll be shocked, but a part of your brain will activate that was sat there waiting, and suddenly it will hit you like a ton of bricks. You will suddenly see, oh, I get it. And when we start to talk about how we're selling ourselves, and when we start to talk about how we elevate in our careers and how we change our energy in a room, and so how we're walking into the room like we deserve to be there, rather than we're running along behind somebody, then everything changes.
I think it's quite a privileged position as well. You're one-on-one usually with a CEO or C-suite. It's lonely being a leader, and I think sometimes people forget that. Being a CEO is a really lonely position. Similar to being an EA, you're often on your own. You're the keeper of secrets, of confidential information, and you're seeing things that a lot of people, like you say, would like to be seeing, or things a lot of the time before.
Privileged position, isn't it?
Exactly. So, it's definitely a role I love and miss. And honestly, when we sometimes get briefed by a client on
I'm like, Sarah, sit on your hands. No, you're not volunteering. You're on the other side now.
I do miss it sometimes.
And fun fact, I'm a marketer by trade. I started out 20 years ago in marketing, and I miss it. When people tell me about the jobs and the things that they're doing, I think, oh, I'd quite like to do that. But obviously I run a business, have a podcast, blah, blah, blah. Get back in your box, Abigail. You run an annual awards event. Tell us how that started.
Oh, gosh. Do you know what? It's evolved over the years. And for me, what I love about the network, and one of the key things, is being able to spotlight others and being able to, spotlight the profession and really elevate it and educate. There's still an education piece out there that needs to be done, and I think we definitely do that. But to give others the opportunity to showcase their skills. EAs are really talented and often behind the scenes, behind the curtains. So to have an opportunity to spotlight is dreaming. And I'm not being funny. When we get nominations in from CEOs where there's paragraphs on how they cannot live without their EA and they think they're the best person, and honestly, it's really humbling to read. And we joke in the office, we get one in and we'll be like, oh, that's so nice. So it's, yeah.
And the awards are open to any business support professional, and we want to just really push that point. You don't have to be a member of the network. For us, it really is about spotlighting the incredible talent within our industry. And in fact, the nominations will open in early March. So we actively, Abigail, encourage self-nomination. And it's such a cultural thing. If we were the other side of the transatlantic, we would not have the issue of saying, hey, I do something brilliantly. So self-nomination, everybody who's looking at me today, I would love you to do that. And the awards almost pushed back a little bit by COVID. This year will be our 5th awards. And every year they grow. Every year, for us, every day is always a learning day. So we are always evolving. We have 3 mantras within the organisation. The first one is less is more, which just goes without saying. You don't have to over-egg something. The second one is we're all human, we all make mistakes. So has anybody died? Mm-hmm. And just bring it back down a step. And the third one, the final one is, if not today, then when? Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest one. You know, you've got to push yourself out for that feeling in the pit of your stomach. And it's us sitting up here now, because we're usually the ones facilitating. It means you're going in the right direction. You have to push yourself out of your comfort zone to grow. Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, most of us are watching what you guys are doing on social media. So we're seeing your posts on the LinkedIn, we're looking at you on the Instagrams, we're seeing the highlights reel. And if we're not at this event, it looks absolutely amazing. And the venue that you've been running it at, I've been there, it's stunning. But what are the highest highs and the lowest lows of doing something like that?
Do you want to say the high? I can do the low.
The highs is giving opportunities to others and kind of being able to elevate others and bring other people, getting other people out of their comfort zone. I love that. For me is a huge kind of win. Meeting people, you know, I am a people person. So is Marianne. We thrive on being in the thick of it with others as well.
And the other high, I think, assistants are often in the background. So having this platform for the awards where the focus is you, I just think is so powerful. You're in a room full of people who are celebrating the industry, and it is the biggest impact and our favourite evening of the year. The lows, it is always a juggle, personally, professionally, trying to fit it all in. We're extremely lucky to have such amazing support in Savannah. But something which happened last year is the programme. Our programme was a labour of love, and it didn't get delivered until 3:30 p.m. on the day of the awards, bearing in mind that we had to have everything set by 5 because of logistical. Absolutely. Abigail's shaking. It was horrific. Because of logistical and operational side of it, we had given it so much time. We had a backup, of course. Plan Z was always there, but Plan Z looked nothing like Plan A. Mm-hmm. And when it turned up, that collective sigh in the Office of Relief, because this had been a huge project, because it wasn't just our programme, it was a double-sided booklet, which was also our little black book of trusted partners. And we had made promises to partners that they'd be in this book. And we wanted to deliver. We say about the 80-20 rule that we have to get comfortable these days that as an EA, you want to be 100% perfectionist, don't you?
Always, 100%.
But you have to get to the point that 80% is good enough because you just can't do it all the time. But it did arrive. But that background stress, and often Sarah and I, we do laugh because social media gives you the highlights. You're absolutely right. We're smiling, look at us, we're in bright colours. But, you know, I want to be honest, quite often I'm running for M&S eating an egg because I haven't had time for lunch.
Or with those people on the train, aren't we, that are eating their dinner on the way home with, it's not all glamorous. And we work really hard. And we said earlier about work ethics, matching. We're there till 1, 2 in the morning if we need to be, or we've got to deliver for a client, or we're hosting an event. You know, we're there and up for it and love it as well. I think you definitely have to love what you do.
I think that's so important to remember, and thank you for being so honest and vulnerable and sharing the real, raw truth. Tell us something that you do with your time that you think that most people don't do on a daily basis. Let's start with you, Marianne.
I know it sounds really selfish, but I do prioritise myself, and that's something I've learnt and that you have to do. If you don't look after yourself, and as a parent, in a family unit, as a business owner, that reverberates out. So I plan my time. I like to train for running, and I like a training schedule. And I will prioritise myself. I will make sure I go to bed early enough, and I will get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I will make sure I fit it in. And I know that sounds crazy to people who maybe don't do anything like that, but the reason I do it is because I'm a much nicer person, and I'm much more, I think, efficient if I've given myself the permission to have that time.
I love that. And Sarah, what about you?
For me, I've got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. So my boys really rely on me. For me, it's grabbing those moments of quiet when I can. And that could be sat in the car park in the car, like most unglamorous place ever. But it might be walking down to the river, during work hours sometimes. Even I'm like, I just need to get out and have a break. But I guess I'm lucky. I've got a great village around me. My mum and dad live around the corner, so I get a lot of support with the children and being able to balance. My husband is amazing. He equally is the same and will help with the boys. So it's just trying to make it all work. But going back to, you've got to enjoy what you do and there's got to be fun. And we do take those moments sometimes to pinch ourselves, a lot of the time thinking we're in a really privileged position sometimes and get to go to amazing places and see amazing things and meet brilliant people as well.
As we're wrapping up this conversation, I can't believe how fast the time has flown. We've got some questions from the community. Question number 1 is, in your professional role, what thoughts come into your mind that puts the biggest smile on your face?
We've just launched our mentorship program, which has been on the to-do list for a long time. One of the things we did when we were matching mentees with mentors is use our platform for video, which we use with the recruitment company. So we got to watch amazing videos, which we know puts people outside their comfort zone for those who have been involved. But that ability to really connect the right people with the right people has been a joy. And the emails that we've had come through, like I've hit the mentor jackpot, and especially being at the PA show and being able to meet some of those who are mentoring or perhaps is a mentee. I've loved.
And I think from the recruitment side, it's putting somebody in their dream role and, we send them a lovely welcome pack once that's happened. It's just the most rewarding position to be in. There's such a process. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's very much about a fit for an EA within an organisation. There are so many different layers which have to align. And when we peel everything back and we put together a really successful partnership and we hear back from the client and we hear back from the candidate, because we will check in continuously, 3 months onboarding and way beyond. That for me is why we do what we do. It's putting people in their dream role.
And one more question. If you didn't do what it is that you do today, what would you do?
I think I would still be an executive assistant because I loved being in that role. I loved kind of supporting somebody. And although it's a bit different now in a way, I'm still doing that in a different capacity. Being able to celebrate, lift and make someone else look amazing.
I love endurance. I love the long distance stuff. I love pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And I reckon I'd have joined the army.
Wow.
Honestly, because I love routine, I love structure, I love being in a situation which is a bit ambiguous. Yeah, I honestly, that's what I reckon I would have done.
Love it.
Amazing. Where is the best place to find you guys online?
LinkedIn.
I think it's such a great way of connecting people, and I've met the most amazing individuals on LinkedIn.
I just think the more you give, one of our core values within the organisation is what can we do to support? How can we help you? And I think the more you give, the more you get back.
And what have you got coming up?
It's 10 years, so alongside the 10-year celebration of the network.
We just announced the awards will be held at the Grove again on Monday the 3rd of November. I think when you find these amazing partners like the Grove who absolutely appreciate and understand the business support role, you want to hold on to them. Mm-hmm. And we've been told that we're married with these organisations until we divorce them or they divorce us. So no, we're thrilled about that. But within the network, Abigail, we do 3 events each month anyway. We have usually a breakfast, an online power hour, like 12:30 to 1:30 each month, relic of COVID really, and then we do an evening event as well as these big events. Passion for bringing people together and the networking is just part of what we do.
Sarah, Marianne, thank you so much for your time, your honesty, your vulnerability, your shares and everything.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Welcome back. That was so much fun. I can't wait to hear what you took away from that conversation. For me, myself, that was the first time I have ever done a live podcast interview in front of an audience. It was so exciting. If you watch the episode on YouTube, you'll be able to see what it actually looked like. I can't wait to do more episodes like that and to meet you at an episode like that in the future. They are such inspiring, amazing humans. All of the links for them are in the show notes. as are the links to join the 7-day challenge that starts next week, 7th of July to 13th of July. Find your missing hour. As always, if you'd like to work with me one-to-one, book me to speak at your next event, to deliver training for you or for your team, buy a copy of my book, download the free chapter. All the links for everything you need are in the show notes. If you can't find what you're looking for, you can also email me at enquiries@successbydesigntraining.com. And until next time, remember, stay safe, stay well, and it is your time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to let me know by leaving a review so I can keep the good stuff coming. Come and say hi on Instagram at Success by Design Training, or visit my website, successbydesigntraining.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Abigail Barnes. Until next time, don't forget, you are amazing and it's your time.